Have you ever experienced a profound sense of loneliness after retiring? Perhaps you've thought that reconnecting with your old friends could be the remedy to your feelings of isolation. It's a common belief that reigniting past friendships can help fill the emotional void that retirement often creates. However, the truth may not be as straightforward as you think. What if I told you that reaching out to friends during those lonely moments might actually make your situation worse? In today's discussion, we are going to delve into 5 unexpected reasons why you should reconsider relying on old friendships to combat loneliness in your post-retirement life. From the evolving nature of relationships to the subtle dangers of emotional dependence, each of these reasons will shed light on why seeking comfort in familiar faces may not be the answer you're hoping for. Instead, we'll uncover a more insightful and healthier approach to dealing with feelings of loneliness after retirement, one that can lead to genuine fulfillment and personal growth. Make sure to stay with us until the end, as the insights shared today might transform how you think about your social life during your retirement years. So, let's dive right in. First up is the reality that friendships evolve after retirement. One of the most challenging truths many retirees face is that the friendships they once cherished might not hold the same significance anymore. You might anticipate picking up right where you left off, sharing laughter, stories, and companionship just like in the past. But as time goes by, people change and life takes them in different directions. The friends you used to lean on may not fit into your life quite the same way anymore. Consider this. Prior to retirement, friendships often revolved around routines. You may have seen each other at the office, caught up during lunch breaks, or enjoyed weekend get-togethers when schedules allowed. Now, without those built-in opportunities to connect, maintaining friendships requires a conscious effort. When you reach out to reconnect, you might discover that your old friends have developed new routines, nurtured new relationships, or even prioritized different aspects of their lives that don't necessarily include you. Take, for instance, the story of John. At the age of 72, he found himself engulfed in loneliness after leaving his long-term job. He thought that reconnecting with old friends would provide him the comfort he desperately sought. However, as he began reaching out, he quickly realized that many of his friends had already moved on with their lives. Some were busy traveling the world, others were engrossed in the joys of grandparenthood, and a few simply seemed less invested in maintaining close relationships. John soon found himself feeling even more isolated, as he came to terms with the fact that the expectations he held for these friendships no longer aligned with reality. The hard truth is that not every friendship is destined to last a lifetime. People grow and evolve, and the dynamics that once solidified friendships can fade over time. When you visit old friends with the expectation that everything will be just as it once was, you may inadvertently set yourself up for disappointment. Rather than seeking solace in the past, a wiser choice is to accept change and concentrate on nurturing new, meaningful connections that resonate with the person you are today. The second point to consider is that you might be looking for comfort in the wrong places. When loneliness creeps in, it's completely natural to seek out something familiar, something that evokes memories of the past and instills a sense of belonging. For many, this means turning to old friends. But here's something most don't realize. Loneliness often stems not from missing people, but rather from missing a sense of purpose. After retiring, the daily structure that once gave your life meaning suddenly vanishes. There are no work obligations, no meetings, and no responsibilities demanding your focus in the same way. Many retirees feel a profound loss of direction, and in that empty space, they look to friendships as a way to fill that void. They may think that reconnecting with the right people will restore their sense of self. However, seeking comfort in long-standing friendships doesn't always tackle the underlying issue. You might find yourself socializing with friends, reminiscing about the good old days, yet still feeling an emptiness inside. This is because the concern isn't merely about lacking social interaction. It's about missing something truly meaningful to engage with. Instead of reaching outward for fulfillment, a more prudent choice is to focus on rediscovering your passions, setting new goals, and constructing a life that sparks excitement, one that doesn't hinge on others for validation. Let's look at Martha, for example. At 68, she found herself constantly reaching out to old friends after her retirement, believing their company would fill the void. She spent her days calling, visiting, and trying to organize plans. Yet, despite her efforts to socialize, she felt like something was still missing. It wasn't until she began volunteering at a local animal shelter that she discovered a genuine sense of purpose. She realized that what she had been yearning for wasn't merely friendship. It was a deeper sense of meaning in her life. If you ever find yourself contemplating a visit to an old friend, take a moment to pause and reflect. Are you truly missing that person, or is there something more profound you're longing for? Real fulfillment comes from within, not from depending on others to provide it. If you're still with me and finding these insights valuable, I would love for you to comment number 2 below. This lets me know you're engaged with the content. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so now. Hitting that subscribe button and turning on the notification bell ensures you won't miss any future videos. Your support allows us to continue creating uplifting content that informs and inspires. Now, let's move on to our third point, the risk of social imbalance from constant visiting. Friendships should ideally be a two-way street, where both individuals contribute equally to the relationship, making each other feel appreciated and valued. However, if you find yourself always initiating visits, making plans, and putting in the effort to reconnect, this can create an imbalance in the friendship. You might not even realize it at first, believing that you are simply taking the initiative to stay connected. But over time, you may begin to question why you are always the one making the calls or driving to see them. Are they genuinely interested in spending time with you, or are they just being polite? This can lead to frustration, resentment, and even a deeper sense of isolation. Consider Richard, for instance, a 70-year-old retiree who made it his mission to stay in touch with his old friends. Every week, he would call or drop by, hoping to relive the camaraderie they once shared. However, he soon noticed a troubling pattern. His friends never initiated contact. They were warm and friendly when he reached out, but never made the first move. This realization hit him hard, leading him to wonder if he had been forcing a connection that simply wasn't there anymore. If you find yourself in a similar predicament, always the one reaching out, always the one maintaining the friendship, it may be time to take a step back. Genuine friendship shouldn't feel like a chore. If someone truly values your presence, they will make an effort to connect as well. If they don't, it might be time to redirect your energy towards relationships that bring mutual joy. The fourth point we need to address is the fact that relying too heavily on friends can hinder your personal growth. It's completely natural to seek companionship, especially after retirement when daily interactions may dwindle. However, leaning too much on old friends to fill that gap can actually prevent you from experiencing the personal growth that is so essential during this stage of life. Rather than stepping out of your comfort zone, meeting new faces, or exploring new hobbies, you might find yourself clinging to the past, revisiting old friendships for the comfort they provide, comfort that may no longer serve your well-being. Take Barbara, a 74-year-old widow who spent years trying to keep in touch with her childhood friends. Whenever loneliness struck, she would reach out to them, hoping to relive the happiness of yesteryears. But deep down, she realized that these interactions left her feeling stagnant rather than fulfilled. She wasn't growing. She was merely retreating to something familiar because facing change felt daunting. The truth is, as we age, we also need to evolve. This doesn't mean you have to abandon your old friendships, but it does mean you should acknowledge when they no longer contribute positively to your happiness and well-being. Instead of consistently looking to the past, why not take the initiative to create a future that excites you? Consider learning a new skill, traveling to a place you've always dreamed of visiting, or starting a hobby you've always put on the back burner. Life doesn't come to a halt after retirement. It marks the beginning of a new chapter that you have the power to fill. If you're watching this and are realizing you've been holding onto old friendships out of habit instead of genuine joy, ask yourself, am I visiting because I want to, or because I'm anxious about what comes next? Now, moving on to our last point. Maintaining unbalanced friendships can deplete your energy. Friendships should bring joy, connection, and mutual support. But if you find yourself frequently visiting friends who no longer align with your energy, values, or lifestyles, these encounters can leave you feeling drained rather than uplifted. Sometimes we hold on to friendships out of obligation, even when they no longer fulfill us. As we age, our time and emotional energy become increasingly precious. Think about this. Have you ever spent time with someone and left feeling more exhausted than energized? Perhaps the conversation felt forced, or maybe they dominated the discussion with negativity. Or you may have realized you were doing all the emotional labor while they contributed little in return. That's not a genuine friendship. It's a one-sided exchange. Take Thomas, for example. At 76, he prided himself on being a loyal friend, regularly checking in on old acquaintances. However, over time, he noticed something troubling. These interactions weren't bringing him happiness. Some friends only wanted to complain, others never inquired about his well-being, and a few showed indifference to his presence altogether. Instead of feeling connected, he left those visits feeling tired, frustrated, and even lonelier than before. The reality is, your time is valuable. If you find yourself consistently visiting friends who leave you feeling drained, it's important to reflect on whether this friendship is genuinely benefiting you, or if you are simply clinging to it out of habit. True friendships should leave you feeling valued, understood, and uplifted. If they don't, it's okay to take a step back and invest your energy in relationships that bring positivity into your life. Now, as we wrap up, take a moment to reflect on what we've discussed today. Friendships are undeniably important, but they should never undermine your peace, growth, or emotional well-being. Visiting old friends out of habit, obligation, or loneliness might seem like the right course of action. However, if those friendships no longer serve you, it may be time to rethink your approach. Retirement is not merely about holding onto the past. It's about creating a future that brings you joy. Instead of clinging to relationships that drain your energy, focus on what brings you true happiness. Invest in personal growth, meaningful activities, and friendships that make you feel valued. Release any guilt tied to letting go and remember that you deserve connections that uplift and inspire you. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which part of this video resonated with you the most? Have you ever felt like you were holding onto friendships that no longer served your well-being? Thank you for joining us today. We would love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment below and share one thing you've learned today and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your insights are valuable to us, so don't hesitate to share. Reading your comments provides us with motivation and encouragement. If you found this video helpful and enjoyable, please like, subscribe, and share it with others. Your support enables us to keep producing valuable content that informs and inspires. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.